So I would like to start with this session with Dr. Edib Smolo. He's assistant professor and former chair of the finance department and director of the Master Science in Finance program at University. He's the global Sharia coordinator for a fintech startup based in Pakistan. Prior to this position, he served as assistant professor and vice dean for scientific and research activities at the International University of Sarajevo's Faculty of Business and Administration. His previous positions included International Islamic Finance Manager at Tosan, Iran, and Islamic Finance Manager at Indra Technology Solutions, Malaysia. During his time at International Islamic Liquidity Management Corporation, he developed the first short Islamic instrument with global consensus that won the 2013 RED Money Global Deal Award, and he published also a book, Introduction to Islamic Economics and Finance, Theory and Practice. His paper title is Islamic Economic Systems at a National Scale, Addressing Country-Specific Needs and Implications. We have 15 minutes for each speaker to allow guests to ask the questions. The floor is yours, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and very good evening, good afternoon, distinguished guests, fellow panelists, attendees, ladies and gentlemen. It is really an honor to be part of this first Islamic Albaraka Summit here in Istanbul, and I will be trying to address this topic that was given to me. I hope they can just play the slides that I have. So basically I will be addressing the Islamic economic ecosystem at the national scale and addressing country-specific needs and implications. Can we have the slides, please? Just for the audience so that they can follow easier. Okay, sorry. That's my bad. Okay, so this is the topic. So before we even start on talking about what is the Islamic finance ecosystem, the first question that we may ask, what actually represents a good ecosystem from general perspective, not only economics, right? So to answer this question, I would like to highlight the vital role of the small and medium enterprises, SMEs, when it comes to the larger industries and also when it comes to the banking sector in particular. And later on we'll be discussing that one from, of course, from the Islamic finance perspective, right? And I'm very happy to hear, actually, yesterday, Dr. Kabir Hassan was talking about SMEs and its importance. Today, Dr. Meli also was talking about the fintech and importance of this one, which are very much in line with what I'm going to say. And I'm very happy because, we can see that, different presentations are coming together, even though we have not been discussing this one before and had not chance to discuss it further. So this topic, the understanding of the SME, is very much important to understand the holistic picture. So to begin with, let's consider the automotive industry. Let's discuss automotive industry or car industries, right? For the success of any automotive industry or car industry manufacturer, right, what we need is the numbers or hundreds of SMEs, companies that are providing services. For example, the Bosch is supplying automotive technology components like brake system, electronics, and so on. This interdependence between the SMEs and large companies shows how they can contribute this specialized expertise, allowing the larger corporations to focus on what they are actually supposed to do. Now, this is further can be addressed in what we see as a good ecosystem, where many things are interrelated and creating this ecosystem that supports each other and push forward, as you can see from the slides. Now, these small or SMEs can contribute in numbers of ways through the specialization and efficiency Why? Because SMEs are many times focusing on one individual problem to address, and they have the expertise in this line. Then they are producing high-quality results and products and services that can be used by the largest industries. So this similarly applies to the banking sector, whereby the small and medium enterprises are providing solutions such as IT solutions, risk management tools, enabling banks basically to focus what they are supposed to do in the first place. Sorry. There is also there is also innovation and flexibility that comes with the SMEs, right? Because they can, as I said, they can focus on the specific topics, they can have the expertise, they can address the issues that are quickly, showing up in the market. And the needs, they can meet the needs of the market as such, which may not be easy for the larger corporations. They have their own agendas on the daily basis. So, for example, the fintech companies can provide innovation by introducing new banking applications, digital, mobile, blockchain technology, AI solutions, customer services, and so on. For instance, the Stripe and Square, they have revolutionized the online payment processing, offering banks and businesses, flexible, innovative solution. All these finally contribute to the economic development. They contribute to the employment. Why? Because these small SMEs are creating extra niche, opening extra niche where they need additional employment. And overall, when they integrate, right, they add to the overall economic development. One good example is the Mittelstand or small and medium enterprises in Germany, without which the giants such as BMW, Siemens would not be as successful as they are, right? So this is the similar in the banking sector, whereby we need different parts or different small SMEs such as the local banks, community banks, credit unions, microfinancial institutions that are servicing specific market sectors, which together are creating the extra value on the national level. Furthermore, we have something that is very much relevant in every industry, including the banking sector, is the supply chain. The robust network of SME can help ensure the supply chain stability and reduce risk of disruption. We saw that few years back, the issue, just recently actually, the issue of these blue chips, because it is very much not diversified in a sense, and that created a huge problem for the big corporation, including like Boeing and some car manufacturer around the world. So this is something that also can happen in the banking sector if we only focus on the few individual solution providers, whether it is like cybersecurity, data analytics. We need a diversification that will enable the overall development at the end of the day. Now, this brings us to the economic ecosystem and synergy, because as we have seen, these SMEs, they contribute to the vibrant economic ecosystem where different businesses and support each other. They are fostering collaboration and eventually lead to growth. Now, this collaboration between the banks and SMEs, they can also create the dynamic financial ecosystem in banking, providing financial infrastructure, while SMEs are contributing innovative solutions and specialized services. In short, a thriving network of SMEs is indispensable for the success of large industry and banking sector in that regard. Sorry. Now we come to the point of what is a good Islamic finance, or what is good Islamic economic ecosystem. I'm listing a couple of these points. Of course, we can add more. This is not the final list, of course. And without any particular order, I will be discussing about these elements. Now, creating the successful ecosystem of Islamic economics or Islamic finance per se requires a multifaceted approach encompassing legal, regulatory, educational, and infrastructural elements. These are the the elements that I will be discussing a little bit more. So let's start with the robust regulatory and legal framework, which again consists of the few elements. In particular, what we need a clear legal recognition from the national point of view, right? For Islamic finance, and we can see it basically from the practice where Islamic finance or participation bank, as it is in Turkey, where it is recognized, it leads to the further development, it facilitates the growth of the industry and everything. Where it is not recognized, we have a lot of challenges and this growth is lacking. So we need the integration of Sharia-compliant laws, we need a sort of understanding from the legal and regulatory perspective. We also need, once we recognize this in industry or this sector, we need a regulatory oversight. So we need dedicated department, we need dedicated bodies within the central bank or within the ministries that will take care and make sure that everything is properly done. So they will avoid any kind of, a risk, potential risk for the industry, reputational risk, Sharia risk, and so on. Finally, when it comes to the regulatory legal framework, this is something, the topic that's very dear to me, which is standardization of practices. Uniform approach, even though many Sharia scholars may not be agreeing with me, because the Sharia generally, when we talk about standardization, many times Sharia scholars are saying actually that diverse of opinion is blessing, which is the rule from the fiqh, right? But when I say standardization, I don't mean that we have one size fits all, right? But rather we have a solution for the certain problems that are standardized given different interpretation. So when we talk about, for example, implementation of the murabaha, we can have it in 2-3 ways, but those ways should be more standardized, given different interpretations, so that it will facilitate the understanding, which is very much important, which I will be discussing later on. The next one would be basically Sharia governance framework, which is relatively related to that one. We all know that financial institutions, Islamic financial institutions, they need the Sharia supervisory boards to make sure that all the products are basically in Sharia compliant. Not only that, that's not enough, but what we need the independent Sharia audit that will take place at the national level, and of course the national level when we talk about the international markets and international products, that will make sure that what is presented as a Sharia compliant is really truly Sharia compliant. So this is something that will facilitate the economy. The next one is what we look is that the general financial infrastructure. So what we need, Islamic banking and financial institution, we need a network of the companies, banks, financial institutions. Having just Islamic bank is not enough. Many countries we have, UK for example, even though UK quite has even some regulatory perspective taken care of, but it's not really picking up for a number of reasons, right? So what we need rather the umbrella of the products, umbrella of the institutions that will help the whole ecosystem. So we need takaful institutions, we need microfinancial institutions, we need different Sharia compliant retail banking, investment banking solutions, and so on. We also need what is called the Islamic capital market. Capital market in general is understood as very important for the economic development of any country, and we can see it from the current world, right? The markets that are very much developed, that have very well developed capital market, are the most advanced. The ones that are lacking capital market are usually those that are also lacking from the economic perspective as well. So this is something that we need to take and embark on. The next aspect that we need to look at, again, is the market awareness and education. Unfortunately, this is something, and it was picked up by one of our attendees just in previous session, right, that we are lacking the awareness. And this is really something, the issue that we are facing. I'm facing myself. Many times, when we are talking about Islamic finance, I have big time even explaining or arguing, because the bottom line is that, comes, okay, what do I have to pay? As long as you have to pay more, it's not considered from the public, it's not considered as Islamic, right? So the understanding from the public is that, if you have Islamic finance, it has to be cheaper, which is not the case. All of us who are even educated a little bit in finance and economics, we know the law of one price, for example, and as long as we have conventional finance in place, this is very much difficult. So what we need more campaign, we need more marketing of Islamic financial products, utilizing, especially nowadays that we have all these social medias, so perhaps we need to work more on this one. And of course, provide professional education and the training. Some countries have taken these initiatives, but we need more to higher level. And perhaps we need to utilize in the Muslim world more as mosques, the madrasas, to educate the Muslim populations about Islamic finance. Next one is, of course, the technological infrastructure. Developing all these, ecosystem would not be finalized or would not be successful if we still use the old ways of doing things. We need to go hand in hand with the time and the evolution that is taking place. So implementing the think tank innovation, understanding that one, bringing our level of the institutions understanding to this new industry revolution that is taking place, industry revolution 4.0, or even some people are talking about 5.0, right? We need to prepare ourselves. We need to implement blockchain and smart contracts to facilitate, to reduce the cost, to improve transparency when implementing of these contracts. Now, I already mentioned generally, but this is something very much important, government support, which is related to the first one, of course, having the legal and regulatory framework. Without government support, we don't really have much of the development. I will take an example later on of Bosnia as that case. On the other side, we'll have a case of Malaysia, for example, even Turkey right now. You see what is happening in just a couple of years since Turkey, started, giving more attention to Islamic finance, coming up with the legal and regulatory framework, supporting development of this industry. So this is something that is very much crucial. One way to do it is, of course, through the public-private partnership. And this can also help through the cross-border cooperations. We don't need to reinvent the wheels, right? Rather, we can, try to implement what has already been tested and successful in some other countries. The best example, again, is the Malaysia. Now, the Turkey is also developing huge things. So we can try to basically replicate or improve the existing system rather than reinventing our own. Then we need, of course, risk management and product innovation, because risk management framework in Islamic finance, remember, we are still faced, when we are talking about Islamic finance, we are still faced with the similar risk as a conventional, but at the same time we have these additional Sharia risk, unique risk to the Sharia compliant products, and we need to address them, and we need to be prepared for these things properly. Innovating new products, coming up with the new solution is something that has been already discussed, so I will not be touching on this one. So having all this one in mind, right, I came to realize, and this is not actually my realization, I have to be open and give credit to where the credit is due. This division of systemic approach, i.e. there are two ways of addressing Islamic finance, Islamic economics, which is systematic approach. Sorry, there is a typo in my slides. And there is ad hoc approach, right? So systematic approach like Malaysia, this has been discussed, this was mentioned, and I came across this one in Islamic Banker by Mr. Mushtaq Parker, if I'm not mistaken. He was discussing about this one. So I'm just borrowing his ideas. So we have a systematic approach, which is basically a case of Malaysia, whereby they have dual banking system with the different legal regulatory framework, but still in harmony with the overall development of the economy, with the smooth operation. So what they did, actually, they came up with the Islamic Financial Services Act of 2013 that provides comprehensive legal framework governing all aspects of Islamic finance operation and ensuring strict compliance with the Sharia principles. They also developed these institutions. So we have Islamic banks over there. We have Tekaful companies. One of the first Tekaful companies were established in Malaysia. We have capital market instruments. We have all the necessary elements for the successful development of Islamic finance. Of course, we have educational institutions, such as the International Center for Education of Islamic Finance, ICYF. We have Islamic Banking Finance Institute, Malaysia, and so on. Market infrastructure is also very much important. Malaysia is taking a key role here because they are like trying to export their model to the world. And they are doing this one through Malaysia International Islamic Financial Center. So they are also leaders in Sukuk and so on. So this approach led to Malaysia being like a leader in Islamic finance, Islamic economics, ecosystem in general. So we can learn from that one. And what did this approach actually help them? They are currently like more than 30% of the banking sector is controlled by the is controlled by the Islamic banks, while the Sukuk market or Islamic capital market is basically share in capital market in Malaysia is more than 60%. So this is the thing that we are looking forward to have in other Muslim countries, and hopefully then we can move to the next stage. Now, on the other side, we have ad hoc approach, which doesn't have any kind of these legal support, doesn't recognize the need from the government. So we are left on our own. To be honest with you, right now, most of the Muslim countries are unfortunately in this stage. They don't really have the government support. They don't have dedicated legal regulatory framework. Or these legal regulatory frameworks are very weak. One example, of course, that I will be talking about is Bosnia. And in case...
Sorry, you had...
Okay, let me take quickly to Bosnia, and I will finish with that one. So what happens in Bosnia, right, which is the small country in Europe, right? In 2020, there was establishment of Islamic banks by the IDB, Dubai Islamic Bank, and Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank. And basically, they very much successfully introduced a number of Sharia-compliant products, even though there are no legal or regulatory framework in the place. So this led to some sort of the growth of Islamic banks again, but that's not something that is satisfactory level that we can be happy. But nevertheless, it is providing solution to the Muslim population in Bosnia. Now, legal and regulatory issues, what are the challenges? Of course, are legal and regulatory issues. Now, when I'm talking about Bosnia, you can apply it basically in most of the Muslim countries, right? So there is no legal framework. There is no regulatory framework. So BBI, Bosnia Bank International, when it's operating in Bosnia, it's treated as any other bank, right? Market awareness is something that is lacking. And again, this is something that is common to most countries. And this is something that we need to work on all together. Infrastructure and expertise, we don't have much. There is a program, of course, in Bosnia that was running, but I'm not sure at the moment whether it is there. But obviously, we need to work more on this one. Now, when it comes to the future prospect, of course, the Bosnia is offering, similar to the Turkey being in Europe, we are placed in the best position to basically be some sort of a hub for the European Union. Potential significant growth, of course, is there if we have the legal and regulatory framework. So what are the recommendations that I would like to share with is obviously something that we can start off. And again, whatever I'm saying here is my own opinions, of course, but this is something that we can apply in most other countries as well. Regulatory improvements, develop these legal and regulatory framework that will facilitate the development and introduction of Islamic finance and Islamic economic systems. Educational and awareness through the different platforms, to different channels, to reach to the public, explain in simple terms what is going on, and demystify the Islamic finance in general. And of course, building the infrastructure development that will be robust financial infrastructure that will have the expertise in Islamic finance, and not only having banks as said. That would be all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And among the various requirements for establishing an effective Islamic economic ecosystem, all of which are critically interrelated, which single element would you consider the most crucial one?
Well, in my humble opinion, right?
Just for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I will try to be very short. In my humble opinion, there are three interlinked, and one is basically overarching. The overarching one is the awareness and knowledge. Unfortunately, as I said in my presentation, most of the Muslims themselves are not aware of Islamic finance. So convincing them to apply, to implement Islamic finance is big issue in the first place. Now, how are we going to go beyond this one, beyond the Muslims as well? The second one is the will to implement. In many countries, we don't see any kind of the will from the participant, from the stakeholders, including the general population, not to mention the government, not to mention the ministries and all other relevant regulatory bodies. And finally is the power, right? It is useless, or I mean, it's, how to say, it's pointless of having understanding and to some extent having understanding and having will from the general masses if we do not have a channels to implement it. I.e., if there is no stakeholder who is in charge of the making decision and who will be making this decision on our behalf to make sure that this takes place.
Thank you very much again.